All right. Hey, good morning, Norwalkers. It's Friday. It's been one of those weeks. I've been just very tired, very sore. My body's tired and sore. And it's interesting because, coming off of a spiritual high, if you will, from Easter, Resurrection Sunday, it's kind of like Monday. Just I walked right into it and it was just, like, wow, I'm tired. I just don't feel good. I don't have the COVID. Don't be going crazy, because even if I did, I'm probably not the biggest risk group. But anyway, at least I don't think so. But it's funny because I was thinking to myself, right? Like for years and years and years, I could literally get up and say, you know what, I'm not happy. I'm just not happy. And I was reading in Philippians in chapter 3 this morning, and Paul, reading his writings, and I started thinking about it. Here's Paul, and how you interpret what you read and all of that is just I think a lot of times we interpret the Bible based on how we feel, or kind of our own cynicism and sarcasm. That's for Dr. Mark, because he hates that I'm cynical and sarcastic. But anyway, I started thinking, if we're gonna make it, if we're gonna do this thing, right? We're in a weird time and all that. We've talked about that ad nauseum. But if we're gonna make it, if we're gonna be happy, if you want to be happy every day, there's got to be a plan. There's got to be something, right, that we could look at. And so, if the Bible, it truly does have everything that we need for life and godliness and faith and all of that, then surely the Bible has the answer. And so I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, a lot of preaching. I've been doing a lot of stuff trying to feed myself, and because you can't give out if you're not taking it in. And so I came up with this little cheesy little thing, and I don't want to keep this long because the Norwalk Nuggets are supposed to be just that, nuggets. And I'll try to watch the time very close. But the first thing is I was looking at Philippians chapter 3. I think if we want to be happy every day, if we really truly want to have that, the first thing we got to do is we got to be thankful for grace, right? Now, Paul, if you read I'm not going to read it just for the sake of time, but when you look at Philippians chapter 3, one of the things you'll realize, Paul kind of comes clean, right? And he, Paul was the best legalist. He was the best legalist. And, he knew the law. He persecuted the church. He did all of that. And one of the things that dawned on me is that, legalists aren't happy, right? They're just not happy people. They're always looking to catch somebody. They're always looking to show that they're better than somebody and all this other stuff. But Paul kind of nails it down, right? And so the first thing I would say is, we got to be thankful for grace. We got to be thankful for grace, right? We can't earn our way to heaven. The message of the cross, and we're coming off of Resurrection Sunday and Holy Week, and the message of the cross was tetelestai. It is finished, right? It's done. It's complete. It's finished. The whole Old Testament was a schoolmaster, right? A teacher to show us that we can't earn our salvation. We can't work hard enough. We can't be good enough. We can't, any of that. There's nothing that we can do, right, to earn grace, to earn salvation. And so I think probably the first lesson would be to rest in grace, right? Get to the point where grace matters to you, right? Not just have it be like, oh, you're on the grace train. Oh, no, grace matters, right? I mean, because when you come to grips with really truly what grace is, then you could really start to understand how much you matter to God and how important you are to God. And knowing that there's nothing I can do, nothing I have to do if I'm saved, to get me any closer, to have that, or to get a relationship with God, then you know what? It takes a lot of pressure off, doesn't it? I mean, it takes a lot of pressure off for me. I think of all the years that I was super conservative, and I was the police until Montana, and then Montana I would realize I wasn't even conservative. But anyway, so that's the first one, right? And then as I'm going down in verse 8. He says, I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge of Christ. And of course, our favorite part of that is, and I count them but dung that I may win Christ, right? And so I would say that, we got to dwell, appreciate grace, rest in grace, dwell on the things that matter the most, right? Madison Avenue, the pop culture, they want us to obsess over the trivial. They want to try to turn us into their own sheep and get us focused on the wrong things and get our eyes off of the prize and all of that. You know, we just need to make sure that we don't obsess over the trivial. Things don't matter, right? What matters? Faith, family, friends, right? Health. Here's one, a clear conscience, right? Knowing that, you know, I know that I know that I know, right? That I'm going to make heaven my home. And, you know, like Brother Riddle used to say all the time, you know, who's going to remember in 100 years? And you know, I never really understood that. I thought that was just, you know, Brother Riddle being Brother Riddle, Apostle Johnny. But it's true, right? Is it going to matter in 100 years? Why, if it's not something lasting, if it's not something like that, then why spend all that time and effort worrying about it, right? So, you know, I think only dwell on the things that matter the most, right? Appreciate grace, rest in the grace, dwell on the things that matter the most. And I would hope that you guys go through in Philippians chapter 3, read this for yourself. It's very popular, very, you know, familiar, I guess, to most of us. But then I think that, you know, part of that dwelling on the things that matter most is that we have to get deeper in our knowledge of God. You know, Paul said to know the power, or to know Christ and the power of his resurrection, right? And so I would ask, what is the power of his resurrection? Do you know what the power of his resurrection is? And, you know, it'd be interesting to have a test later on and we can all figure it out and all come together. I'm not going to give you the answer because I want you to ponder that part, right? And then the next one I think is just accept the fact that you're not all that in a bag of chips. You know, you're not perfect, right? You're maybe working towards perfection, but you're not perfect. Paul had a handle on it, right? He said, look at all the things I've done. Look at all the things I've seen. Look at all the things I've been and done and all this other stuff, right? But then he says, I'm still growing. I'm still learning, right? I haven't obtained. And so, you know, I think one of the things, if we're really going to be happy, then we make sure we don't put pressure on ourselves and focus on how inadequate we are. Or I was telling Jordan this morning when we were having our coffee, you know, I just don't have enough time. I feel like I'm behind. That's stress. That doesn't matter, right? Focus on growing. You're not there yet, but come to the place where you can realize that and focus on growing step by step. Do something about it, right? Like I tell people all the time, even at work, I used to say, you know, they get all flustered and worked up or whatever. And I'd say, hey, listen, you know what? How does the mouse eat the elephant? One bite at a time, right? Might take a long time, but a mouse can eat an elephant. You know what? You can take out a redwood tree with a butter knife, right? With enough perseverance. And so realize that you're not perfect today, but that's something that you're working towards. And realize as you rest in grace, you don't have to necessarily be perfect today, right? You got to just keep growing, and that's press on, you know, and read Philippians chapter 3 and you'll get the point. And then finally, I would say, trying to keep this short so that it's more of a nuggety thing and we could actually appreciate it, is, you know, don't worry about the past. Forget those things which are behind. You can't change the past, right? There's nothing you can do to change what's happened to you. And you know, thankful to Mark Harrison in Bakersfield, because, you know, for 3 years he let me heal in his church because, you know, I was pretty focused on the past, right? And, you know, you got to let it go. You just got to let it go. You can't change it. And so let go and let God today. So, you know, obviously, you know, to encapsulate, be thankful for grace, rest in the grace of God, you know, be thankful for it. Dwell only on the things that matter, right? Only put your effort and energy into the things that are going to matter. In a better car, even though it's a BMW, doesn't matter. It's nice, but it doesn't matter. A Yugo will get you there. Amen. A pair of good shoes will get you there. But anyway, get a deeper knowledge of God, and then accept the fact that you're not there yet, and then keep working towards it. And then don't worry about your past, right? Because your past is your past. And if you're under the blood, your past is gone. And, you know, those kind of things are gone. You know what? And if you made a mistake yesterday, you can't obsess over it. Just don't do it today and keep growing. So anyway, that's kind of the nugget. I try to do these every once in a while when I get kind of inspired. Hopefully you guys appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next nugget. I don't know when. It just lightning strikes, you know. But anyway, have a blessed day. Be good. Be careful. Be sanitary. Right. And we'll see you the next time.